Hi everyone, it's Joni Young here. Welcome back to my channel for another video. As you know, the month of August, this entire month long, I'm going to be bringing you guys a brand new video every single day. 9 o'clock they air Pacific Standard Time. They're pre-recorded so you can watch them anytime you like, but it's always exciting when we're all joining each other collectively at the same time every day. There's some wonderful energy that takes place when that happens, so I encourage you guys to make it a point to join us here at the same time every day. And it's kind of nice because you get into that routine, you save that time just for yourselves every day. It may only be 20 minutes, it might be 15 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes. So no matter what, you guys are going to learn so much. And by the end of this month, you're going to be a better person. You're going to feel lighter. It's something so wonderful for your mind, body, and spirit, as well as learning skills. So I go over a lot of that in my videos. I talk about the wonderful benefits that painting can bring to you. But today, let's focus on this painting. I'm going to be showing you all how to paint a pretty night sky with a crescent moon and some stars. So stay tuned, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I've got over 1,000 videos here and even more on Patreon. Check out the links below and let's jump in and get started. We'll go over all the supplies right now that you'll need. The brushes I'm using today are a mop brush, this is 1 inch, a 20 flat brush, and a number 3 round brush. The colors: titanium white, sap green, phthalo blue, dioxazine purple, and Mars black. Use any colors you have or you prefer, as well as brushes and canvas. The canvas I'm using today is an 11 by 14. Let's go ahead and get started with the very first step. And like always, when I'm working on covering large areas, I'd like to add a little bit of water to the canvas. And that is because it really helps spread that paint out easier, more smoothly over the canvas. So you want to make sure that it's just damp to the touch and there's no drips, because if there's drips, that's too much water and the paint won't be the right consistency. Okay, now that that's said, let's start with our first color. I'm going to come in with some purple, just loading, pulling in like this. You can turn to load, or you can just pull in like this. Pull from the pile rather than going around in circles directly in your pile. And we're going to start by pulling this purple along the top of the canvas. Nice long sweeping brush strokes side to side, pushing and pulling and turning this way. That's why it's important to really load your brush. Okay, we're going to work this down a little bit lower. Okay, I'm going to come up top and start adding another layer to make it a little bit deeper in color. Okay, the next color I'm going to use is blue. I'm not going to wash my brush out, but I am going to take just a little bit of water and then load both sides evenly. I'm going to start adding the blue into part of that purple, working it up so we get a nice gradation of purple into the blue, and then we'll work that down, work it back up again a little bit so that there's not like a stripe, you know how it's like completely separate, purple section and then blue section. We want it to fade and blend into one another. Okay, so I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet again and pull into some more blue, and I'm going to start adding that blue where I left off. And as the color starts to come out of my brush, there's a little bit of purple still in there. If you press a little firmly, you'll release that out. Let's go and add some more blue. Bring that down, work that up. All right, now we're going to take our green and we're going to start adding that where we left off with the blue. I haven't rinsed my brush out once yet. Let's take the rest of that green, be really generous and just scoop that up. Then I'm going to take a tiny bit of black, just a little bit like this. You don't need a lot. And we're just going to pull that down here. Okay, I'll just pull a little bit more because my canvas is wet. So when my canvas is a little bit wet, it can thin the consistency of the paint, making it look a little bit thinner. Take the rest of that with just a little bit of blue, and you can see this gorgeous color that that makes. Add a little bit of that in there and fade that out into the blue. Okay, now we're going to rinse our brushes out. Clean brush, a little bit of black, and I'm going to bring this over the top of the purple. Just to add a little bit more depth up here, making it look a little bit darker. Okay, now I'm going to take my mop brush. My mop brush is dry and clean. I'm going to tap in to that green there. Tap lightly, pull out of the pile a little bit like this. Don't go right in that big pile, otherwise you'll lose the shape of the brush. You want it to remain kind of puffy like this in order to get some texture. I'm also going to take a little bit of black. And what I'm going to do is just add a few little bushes down here on the green. Just a little bit like that. And then we're going to pull in lightly to our white, pull into a little bit of that green. Tap to load, and we're going to add just a little bit of light. A little bit of light glowing from the moon, and who knows, maybe there's some houses around or a lamppost somewhere. Just add a little bit of that light. We'll add a little hint of a little path in here. Just a few brush strokes is all you need. Now let's rinse our brush out and begin painting our stars and our moon. Okay, for the next step, I'm going to take my round brush and I'm going to add just a little bit of water to it. I'm going to add some white over here and a little bit of blue. We're going to make a light shade of blue. Once we mix it up, we want to work a lot of that paint out of the brush so that we're left with more of a dry brush. Okay, so here's the consistency we want. Okay, so I'm going to add my crescent moon right here, but I'm not going to paint the moon yet. I'm going to paint some glowing light from that moon first. And take a little bit more here. Just going around in gentle little circles. And quickly, before I do anything else, I just had a moment spur the idea to take a little bit more of this blue and white and add what could be some water down here just below the horizon line. Like I said, I'm going to be showing you guys so many different simple things in each of these videos. So look how quickly we can just create a feeling of water, an ocean, a river, a lake down there. Okay, you want a dry and clean brush for this, and I'm going to take white and get a good amount of paint on there. I'm going to place my pinky on the canvas. I know it's dry because we dried this off before, and I'm going to think of a banana shape or a C shape. In this case, it'll be a backward C because I'm going to be painting it this way. So I'm going to just start with barely any pressure, just the pointy end of the brush, and then I'm going to start to gradually push, pull, and let off. I'll get a little bit more paint, and I'm going to start here and make it a little bit thicker. Don't worry if it looks a little bit lopsided or a little bit bumpy. We're not out for perfection. This is just an exercise, it's an experience, it's practice, it's whatever it needs to be for what you need. Do you need relaxation? Do you need to brush up on your skills? Just enjoy the feeling of the paint gliding over the canvas. And if you're happy with your painting at the end, that's a bonus. And as that dries, it'll fade a little bit. So we'll come in later on after we've done painting our stars, and we'll add a highlight to it. For our stars, I'm going to kind of do the same thing with a bit of a dry brush. I'm going to add these little soft glowing orbs, dry brushing first. You can soften with your finger a little bit. Just these little dabs that look like snow. Some smaller, some a little bit bigger. And we're just going to start with this because this is going to give us a nice little glow before we add the twinkling stars. Okay, we'll add a few more up here, wherever you want to add your stars. There's no right or wrong with this. Just ideas. I'm just bringing you guys some good creative energy, ideas, and motivation. I'm not using a lot of paint. You can even go around and just add continuous little circles, traveling with the brush. I'm going to add just a little bit of light down here from the glowing reflection of the moon. All right, now what I'm going to do is take the end of the brush and dip it in a little bit of paint. I'm going to steady my hand here, and I'm going to add a line like this and then across. Then I'm going to make an X. Okay, so I'm going to make this first line a little bit longer than the rest. Okay, and then we're going to move on to the next one. You can make them different sizes. Okay, so a smaller lowercase t and an X. This is your basic, simple way to paint stars. Now, if you have a really tiny detailer brush, you could make them even smaller than this. But I like these round brushes because the end of them are like a liner brush. See how they go pointy at the end and then get a little bit wider. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger because I want different sizes, and the glowing orb behind it is bigger than the rest. This is a really good exercise to practice. It forces you to focus and concentrate and be calm. Don't have espresso or too much caffeine before you want to attempt something that takes a little bit more of a steady hand, because it might be a little bit tricky. So I'm painting a lot of stars because watching me do this is repetitious, right? And the more we're very visual as human beings, and a great way to learn is by watching. So when you see something demonstrated over and over again, your brain grasps it better. If you see something just one time and then it's gone, especially as we get older, it's much harder to retain info. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of dot and dab a few little of these smaller ones, and then I'm going to take my finger and just gently go over those. You don't need to have the full-on T and X type of stars. You can have all these little ones in here too. Dab the end of your brush. And have little clusters and little groupings of these. And then what I like to do is go back and add a little dab of white in the center. And that's the finishing touch that's really going to make them twinkle and sparkle and look brightest in the center of the stars. Did I miss one? Yep, I missed that one and that one, I think. Let's go back here and re-highlight our moon. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit of white, just a few little lines back and forth. Don't push too hard. Now, because we're doing pretty good for time and I like to add as much as I can in a video, we've got leftover paint here. I've got my mop brush. Why not add a few little flowers here? I'm going to tap into the remaining purple and blue, and we'll just tap on some pretty flowering bushes here. Maybe they're hydrangeas. You guys know I love painting hydrangeas. Maybe they're, I don't know, whatever you want them to be. Who cares? Doesn't have to be anything in particular. We'll add a little bit of white to our brush, and then we'll dab a little bit of light on these. Acrylic paint dries a little bit darker, so they should just have the right amount once it's dry. Okay, hope you all enjoyed learning how to paint this magical night sky with some twinkling stars and a glowing crescent moon. This was day 16, and I can't wait to show you what I've got in store for tomorrow, day 17 of our painting challenge. Thanks so much for joining us and being here every day. I can feel the creative energy and just good vibes from everybody all over the world. We've got people commenting from Canada, fellow Canadians, hello, people from the US, I love you guys all, Finland, Italy, I don't know, so many countries. It's so exciting. So join in if you haven't yet. It's not too late. It's never too late. We've got people in their 90s that are picking up a brush, and this is just an amazing thing. So spread it around, spread the love, and I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Bye.